the mention of the word recession continues to grow, not only in repetition, but also in volume. A lot more people talking about recession, a lot more people getting worried about the impending recession. Let's talk about trading, shall we? Because we're going to give you a few ideas, guys, in this video on how you can not only still profit from trading during a recession, but hey, maybe even make it better than it normally would be, and that is trading ideas during a recession. Let's go.
When you talk about like the recession, you're thinking about outsized moves, right? Like how do you take advantage of increased volatility, whether it's to the upside or to the downside? And I think, we've said a few things before, and I'll kind of double down on one of those. One of those is, resistance matters more than support. I think that's one of the first things you throw out there. And then try to trade stocks that have shown you that they have these ridiculous, outsized volatility type moves. And I'm going to go to something like an Alibaba today. Now, it had a news catalyst, but what I want to show you here is when you have a sharp move to the downside, when you're in a recession, by the time you get to it, you will have had a usually large pullback in the market like we've already seen. So the bounces to the upside will be dramatic, and that means you'll have the range open up when you have a bit of a breakout. And the example here is something like a BABA, and this is more to the 50 period and the 200 than might be specifically to this stock. But when it broke the 50 period on its bounce, it went 95 up to like 126, like a $30 move, a nice 30% move to the upside plus on a stock. It's only a 30% move because the stock is already down, a good 60, 70% from its highs, right? It sounds impressive, but in the grand scope of things, it really isn't. What you end up happening is a retracement all the way back to the 50, and then back into the 200, and then back into the 50. Look at the size of these ranges. So an incredible amount of patience and a stock which is giving you these types of opportunities. If you throw on top of that you get its own catalyst, BABA is not tied specifically to what is going on in the overall market. Usually it's going to react to news that comes out of the CCP, which gives you a little bit of a, I don't want to say you don't have to sit there and watch the futures all day long when you trade the stock. And I think sometimes that can be a bit of an advantage. So you take advantage of these types of trends when we get a rejection like this, because for several days in a row, it's just been a short. It's like you can short off those highs, you roll over off the bottom there on Alibaba and play that little bit of a trend. It ends up bouncing off something like that 100 because you got that 50 period moving average, and then you're shorting the pops as it continues that trend and then going maybe long off that 50 period. So find something that is giving you outsized moves that on the daily chart is showing you some very obvious responses to your key trend lines, and that'll give you just a wider range of opportunity so that you're not forcing trades. Like you're actually waiting for monstrous levels to come in. And I feel, and it doesn't have to be BABA, it could be NEO, it could be Pinduoduo. I just think the entire Chinese sector has been giving you that recently.
Definitely looked at different markets, looked at different sectors, looked at different everything as far as recession. But recession really, when this guy comes out and the market turns a little bearish, then you are going to have a problem trying to find some winning stocks, especially if you're just going to sit there and keep doing the same thing that you were doing maybe during a bull run. Obviously, times have changed and things are different now in this market. So what I would say that you want to try to find, and that is go to a flight, and we talked about this with the banks. I think the banks are a little bit of a different story, but why not go to a tech name? Like, think about what's going to recover, because when there's a recession, the market just booms when there's finally recovery, because that's what's brought down. The market has come back down in, right? So when there's a recession, you want to be long something for the recovery play. Now, I'm going to say, why not hide in IBM, man? International buyback machine. These guys have been an absolute monster. They're actually doing nothing over the last 10 years or so. I think you can get into IBM. You know the dividend that IBM pays here? Why don't we show the chart here, Fahad, if we can, please? Then the IBM chart here, look at this. We've been yelling recession here for at least a couple months, right? IBM is actually at the same levels that you go all the way back to October of 2021. So you're going to honestly go back almost, and I can even do this more here. I just didn't want the chart. Here we go. All the way back to August. So go back a year. Where's IBM? 143, right? Where's IBM today? 139. If you hung out in IBM over the last little while, you'd be pretty grateful, because not only has your equity not been depreciated, you've gained that 5% dividend. So Why I like IBM again, I believe that it's a tech name that I think will be strong out of the gate, right? And what you can do is, the minute the recession, you feel like, you're reading things, okay, recession's over, so on and so forth, then at that point, you can switch from your IBM into a Google, into something that's going to go when the market goes, right? When growth is back, when you finally see that CPI number tick down, not up, then you can rotate out. But I feel like the topic here is about what to do, how to trade during recession, and what are some ideas. I think, I'm in IBM. I think if you can buy an IBM on any dips, that's the right move here. Take the dividend, take the 5%, rotate out of it when you finally feel that this recession is maybe over or we're climbing out of it. I love IBM here. It's been one of those hidden gems, and it's been really bad for the last 5 to 10 years, right? Intel, same thing. Intel's been absolutely dead money for 15 years, but it's lower than where it was 15 years ago, right? IBM paying a big dividend, a nice name, nice recovery stock. Needless to say, I like IBM.
Safety matters in these times. Recession is going to bring uncertainty. Uncertainty brings increased volatility, increased volume, and all kinds of opportunities. Guys, they're everywhere right now. This is the time to take advantage, not necessarily be afraid of the market. There's some great ideas for trading during a recession.